In an industry stuffed with marketing bullshit, empty promises, and shiny-suited liars, one woman's had enough. She knows what it's like to have the wrong clients, no money, and no time for fun. But she also knows how to fix it. And on the Business for Superheroes show, she promises to tell the down and dirty truth about business, sales, and running away with the circus. Here's your host, Vicki Fraser.
Hello and welcome to the Business for Superheroes show. I'm Vicki Fraser and today Joe's sitting on the other side of the room trying to be quiet and I am talking to Tim, one for the ladies Fitch. Well, hi Tim.
Well, hi Vicki.
Tim is a friend and client, and if you're watching the YouTube version of this podcast, you can see he's also sporting a rather splendid Christmas jumper today.
Because it is Christmas jumper day.
Because it is Christmas jumper day. I don't have a Christmas jumper. Do you know why?
I don't know. Why haven't you got a Christmas jumper?
Well, I bought Joe an amazing Christmas jumper a few years ago, and he has not bought me a jumper.
Oh dear.
How mean is that?
Desperate. Because I say Primark is only a couple of 100 yards from our office.
Is it now? Thanks, Tim. Okay, so today we're in Tim's shiny new offices, which are frankly gorgeous. And again, if you're on the podcast, you can see in the background. If you're on the YouTube version, it's great. I wanted to talk about networking and business building today with Tim, because he's Mr. Breakfast and he's kind of building an entire business on breakfast, aren't you?
I have got one hell of a breakfast habit.
Yeah, he really has. So let's start off with tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, okay. Well, my business, Invennt, and if you want to look it up, it's spelled with two N's at the end, INVENT.com. We're I don't know how to use this word, we're a management consultancy. We like to say business consultancy because it sounds posher. We specialise in the construction sector. So most of our clients are own and managed businesses. We help them develop their strategy and make more money.
Cool.
And our little strapline is creating value through construction. And of course we don't build anything anymore, although I've spent 30 odd years in construction companies, but we're trying to create value. And all of the sort of services that we develop are focused on that aim, and that really is how we got to the thing that's created all the growth, which is we specialise now in helping companies reclaim research and development tax credits. Most people in construction don't think they do any, but we found a process that uncovers it, and we've had some tremendous successes for our clients.
Okay, cool. And I know that you've had some tremendous successes just over the last few months. So, tell us a little bit about how you've grown from the offices that you were in, which I remember, which were nice but kind of pokey, to this amazing place.
Well, yeah, it's an interesting story. So the idea for the R&D tax credit service that we provide, it actually came about through it was serendipity or happenstance. But I think, as Vicki said in her intro email this morning, my quote is, well, serendipity takes effort or action.
It does. In
fact, it implies it. So I'm always on the lookout for ideas and meeting new people. That's sort of part of what I do, without having necessarily a goal in mind other than to expand my network and see if I come across good ideas or good people. So a couple of 3 years ago, I'd been a little bit unwell one summer with a kidney stone. And I've collapsed in the garden at home, went to hospital, the consultant says, yes, you've got a kidney stone. It's not so bad that it can't come out of its own accord, but you need to take one of these little pills once a day for a month. It will dilate your tubes and the thing will come out of its own accord.
Sounds awesome.
Well, so I start taking these things. A couple of weeks later, we go on holiday. I've got a young family. We drove to the south of France. We're staying in a caravan thing. Had a great holiday for 2 weeks and finished these pills up and got in the car to come back. 2-day journey from the south of France driving, and got about an hour outside of a gate, and I was in quite a lot of discomfort and I started peeing blood. Not very nice, but I knew what was happening. This kidney stone was obviously on the move. Get home on a Sunday, get up in the morning, guess what? On the Monday I had a breakfast meeting. So I go to the breakfast meeting, that goes okay, guest leaves, I need a pee. Go downstairs to the toilet, and I'm standing there. It's a very unusual sensation which I hadn't experienced before. And I can only describe it for those that have one as somebody putting a marble outside through your...
It's incredibly painful.
Well, it wasn't so much painful, it's very unusual. I hadn't experienced that particular sensation before. And I didn't really quite work out what it was until it was too late. And of course this stone shoots out and goes down the toilet, because my intention had been to collect this stone and then have it mounted on a pinky ring. That idea will have to wait until the next kidney stone comes along. But anyway, this thing's gone. I'm now euphoric, because although I was still sore, the irritant had gone, so I was on a high. So I went about my business that morning, and that particular lunchtime I'd been invited by a friend of mine to meet one of his clients who was a partner in a tax accountancy specialist in the City of London. And I turned up to this office for lunch. So I turned up to this office expecting to have a usual, typical sandwich and a glass of orange juice. And go into this, what I thought was a boardroom. It looked exactly like a restaurant. So the table was set out, the tablecloth properly set for lunch. There was a menu card, there was a little bar in the corner. And I met this young tax partner who I'd never met before. He said, "Oh, good to meet you, would you like a drink?" I said, "Well, ordinarily at lunchtime I wouldn't drink, but today I'm celebrating." And he said, "But what are you celebrating? Is it your wedding anniversary, birthday?" And I said, "No, I've just peed out a kidney stone." And that was quite a good icebreaker. And of course we had a few glasses of wine, and we had a very wide-ranging discussion. And right at the end of it, he said, "Look, you're in construction, Tim, you know about construction. Why do construction companies not claim their just desserts with regard to R&D tax credits?" I said, "Well, I don't know, but I can guess," because I said I've done lots of work in the past, research and what have you, with UCL around innovation. And I know that you can't deliver projects without doing innovation, and the way you've described the tax code around this matter, it sounds like it could be classed as R&D. I said the reason is that the leaders in construction don't think they do R&D. It's partly cultural, it's partly the fact that no one will have read the tax code. Anyway, lunch over, my mind's spinning now, and it took me about 15 months or so to work out how to do this and investigate all the rules and all the rest of it and work a process out for doing it. And we managed to get that worked out during 2015, and on the 1st of January 2016 we launched the service. We did 2 or 3 businesses to try it out. It worked better than we thought, and then we pushed the marketing quite hard from the sort of third quarter of 16, and it's just grown. Exponentially, I think, is the right word.
Yeah.
And it what's great about it is it's not often as a management consultant you can go and do a piece of work and the client can actually weigh the benefit at the end. There's no ifs, buts or maybes. You've either got a ton of cash or you haven't.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing about it. And for us, it absolutely hits our vision and mission, because our mission is to create value through construction. There's the value. But our mission is also to be at the centre, and this comes back to the networking thing, but at the centre of a successful and vibrant industry. And of course, releasing this R&D cash helps people reinvest it, and therefore there's a reasonable opportunity that you can actually drive the industry forward, because it gets knocked a lot for being low, not investing enough in R&D and being a bit old-fashioned. And here's an opportunity for the industry to move forward and have it partly funded by the government.
Which is pretty cool.
It's quite cool.
Yeah.
It's quite cool.
So I'm going to ask you in a minute about your breakfast, but first I just want to kind of hammer home a couple of really good messages, really good lessons there for people. First one is storytelling is a really good way to, start a conversation. So, Tim's kidney stone. And another story that we're going to come on to. Come on, you're full of stories. We're going to
I've
tell
got
all
loads
kinds
of
of
them.
stories today.
And most of them are clean.
And the second lesson is, if you have an idea, jump on it and make it happen. Don't sit on it for months and years and whatever. I mean, you had the idea fairly quickly and then just got on with it, didn't you?
We did. I suppose with even me, with the benefit of hindsight, I wish I'd moved faster. But which is a lesson for us, because it took us a year, and it perhaps should only have taken 6 months. But we've done it now, so we're on with it.
Yeah, doing pretty well as well. Okay, so breakfast. Tell us about the breakfast. What is the breakfast all about?
Well, okay, so I mean, I spent a long time in corporate life, and you won't be surprised to learn the latter part of it was in business development. And what became clear to me was that old school business development revolved around alcohol quite a lot. And but the way the sort of society is changing, that became, A, I didn't like doing it, and B, there was a move against it. So particularly the area I was in specifically, which is the rail industry, it was completely forbidden. And it was going that way in the rest of construction.
Yeah.
So I suppose 10 or so years ago, maybe 15 years ago, started thinking, well, what's a better way of doing it? Of course, breakfasts are great because you can get a sort of an hour or an hour and a quarter of someone's undivided attention without it impacting on their day. There's no alcohol involved. Usually. No, I mean, there isn't. I mean, I don't ever offer it. And the benefit is that if someone's got somebody managing their diary, and they just say, well, I'll be in the office at 9:30 rather than 8:30, it's not impacting on their day. And you also get them fresh in the morning.
Yeah.
So somebody's actually going to turn up hungry. They've probably been up, they're eating their breakfast a little bit later than they would normally. And if you've chosen a posh-ish place, they're going to enjoy the experience. They're going to have a high quality breakfast, perhaps eat something they wouldn't normally rather than have Cheerios or a couple of slices of toast. They can have something a little bit more filling and also more enjoyable. High quality coffee and me.
And you.
And they get to talk with me for an hour and a quarter.
Oh, it could be better than that. So what do you talk about at these breakfast meetings?
Well,
how do you turn them into business opportunities?
Right, so I think that comes back to how do they come about? Because the breakfast meeting isn't the start of the process, it's part of the way through it. So I've got it in front of me, and I'll explain it. There's different. Yes, so the breakfast meeting is not the start, it's part of the way through. So we go back to the start, is how do you initiate a relationship? So, and I've for whether it's a natural sensitivity to it or it's learned behaviour or a combination of both, doesn't matter. But I've always been interested. People call it networks now, but I think when I left home when I was 18, I can remember going to university and I studied the prospectus in minute detail and tried to find out as much as I could about the lectures because I was fascinated by all the letters after their name and where they'd been. Why, I don't know, but I was.
Yeah. And
that's really never left me. I'm interested in people, where they've been, who they work for, what do they know, how do they fit into the jigsaw which is life. And so I'm interested in that. So I collect relationships, not in a creepy way, but because I'm interested in people. Yeah. So everyone I meet, I always exchange business cards. So one lesson is, here's my business card. If you've met me, you've almost certainly got one of these, and I would expect to get one in return. If you don't have business cards, you have just committed the biggest sin, in my view, there is in terms of networking.
And we're going to be upgrading that business card soon, aren't we, Tim?
Are we? Yes.
With your blog.
Oh, yes. So, but the business card, the great thing about these is, it doesn't matter whether male or female, you can carry a stack of them around with you. Men it's easy. If you're wearing a jacket, on the inside of the left-hand side, there's a little pocket for them. Every single jacket, wherever I've been in the world and bought one, has all got the same thing. They're there for cards. Collect, give, and you shall receive. That's my motto with them. Collect the business card. So everywhere I go, everyone I meet, every business meeting I go to, I always hand it out to everybody, and any that give me in return, I collect them. And then they go in our CRM system. But the important thing is creating the opportunities where you can do that. So if you've been invited to a meeting, it's easy. But if you are the classic networking type events that people get invited to, it doesn't matter if it's a local event or something in London. If you can get yourself invited to them, and there's lots of opportunity to invite yourself. That's what I've learned. So in my industry and in my sphere, all of the top law firms, for instance, run breakfast meetings on various subjects. You just contact them and say, can you put on their mailing list? And they're almost bound to say yes, because they want new people turning up. As an example, now that may not be appropriate if you're a florist, but it could be. So the key thing is, by hook or by crook, get started going to networking events where there's a bunch of people been invited by someone as a guest speaker or something like that. When you turn up, and this is going to sound sexist, but it's actually true. There's always a desk with a couple of nice ladies on it handing the badges out.
It's true.
It's true, right? And for those that are watching on video, they will have one of these lists of attendees. I'm holding up an A4 sheet. And this one's very typical. It says first name, surname and organisation. I get that and I go straight to the toilet.
Do you want to explain that?
I'm going to explain it. I go straight to the toilet, sit down, get a pen out, and I go through it, and I'll pick 6, depending on how long the event is. If it's just an hour, maybe 6. If it's all day, this one's an all-day one, I've got about 15 people that I want to touch base with. Now, they may be people I already know, or they may be targets, but I will mark them off, and I will then spend whatever time there is tracking these people down and then initiating the conversation.
That's a great idea. A really good idea.
So,
simple.
It's in theory, it's simple.
Most people don't do it, I bet.
No one does it apart from me. And people I've taught how to do it. So you've now got some targets. You can set yourself a target before the event starts. Get there a little bit early, do your little plan, and then go out and find these people. And it's easy to initiate conversation.
Yeah. I mean, a very quick Google, if nothing else, will tell you a little bit about them, wouldn't it?
You don't even need to do that, because if you will know why you want to know them, because the company will be of interest probably. So obviously you've got in your own mind the sorts of people that are of interest to you, and then just go and find them. I think you can start a conversation this time of year is easy, about the weather or something, Christmas or that kind of thing.
Kidney stones.
And just get it going. You just need to get the right. So this is initiate the conversation. Hi, I'm blah blah. I'm Tim Fitch. Get your card out. Here's my card. Most of them will give you a card in return. You've now got their email and mobile.
Yeah.
Simples.
So
you then you just need to make. So you've initiated the contact. Now the next best thing is, rather than trying to flog them something, you need to make it a memorable encounter. So the story around the kidney stone, that may be too long to, because you remember if this is the start, the half an hour before the 40-minute talk at breakfast starts, you haven't got that long. But you need to get something which is a hook, which means they will remember you and have some interest in a follow-up, without them knowing what your true motive is. I mean, they'd be crazy not to realise you're trying to sell them something. You don't want to say, I want to help you do this. No, you don't want to do that.
This is, by the way, this is just one of the reasons why I tell people about my circus stuff, because how many people do that?
Exactly.
So,
Sometimes I'll say, I know this lady called Vicky who's a pole dancer. Of course, depending on who you're talking to, that always gets attention.
yeah.
So that's the key thing. If you hunt down the people that you want to meet, initiate the contact, which all it needs to be, hi, how are you, here's my card, something like that, talk about the weather, just get the thing going for 30 seconds, get their card. And then you just want to have a very quick 2 to 3 minute conversation with them and say something memorable and then get a commitment to a follow-up. Say, well, look, I haven't got time to talk now. Why don't we have a longer discussion over breakfast or a cup of coffee or something?
Yeah.
And then leave it. Don't literally get on the train and send it straight after me. Leave it a day or two. Say, oh, great, bumping in. Then you come with the follow-up email. Which says, oh, great to seen you a few days ago at so-and-so place, and we had a little discussion. I just wonder whether would it be great if in a week or two's time we could have a breakfast meeting. I'll stand you a breakfast.
Cool.
Now, I wouldn't say I never get turned down. It's very, very rare. Very rare. And once you've got them in the posh cafe or restaurant, you then can develop the conversation. That's the time you can tell the slightly longer anecdote. And as Vicky alluded to, one of the techniques I use now, because I try and embrace modern technology, is I get my mobile phone out and start showing some photographs about my own physical transformation. Because although this isn't the most flattering jumper I'm wearing, because it's about 3 years old, and therefore it's way too big now. I've changed my body shape very significantly over the last 9 months.
Yeah. Really impressive.
And as crazy as this will sound, I've got before and after pictures in my underpants.
Let's explain why you've got those first, because this is actually relevant, because for people who want to achieve something, you kind of need what you've been doing. So tell them how
Okay, let's have a quick slurp of coffee from the Invennt mug.
From the Invennt mug.
Invennt coffee, by the way, as well.
It's very nice coffee. Yeah, we're not drinking gin, it's a bit early for gin. I thought I'd say that.
So, this is this is, for the listeners, this is an important lesson, not so much about my transformation, but how it happened. Because I met a personal trainer, a guy called Phil Agostino, who I would thoroughly recommend.
He's going to be on the podcast in the next month or so?
Yeah.
He doesn't know yet.
If he's listening in,
yeah,
he will know at the weekend. So I bumped into him about a year ago, and I agreed that I would start my physical transformation on the 1st of April. My motives were fairly simple. I'm 53, my daughter is 6, so she's 47 years younger than me. My father's 27 years older than me, he's 80 now, and he's 80. And I thought, well, is it as you'd expect an 80-year-old to be, but I thought, well, when I was 33, which is how old my daughter will be when I'm 80, I still need a bit of help and guidance. And therefore I wanted to extend my useful life as long as possible. I suppose everyone wants to do that in theory, but I thought I've got to do something about it, because I'm type 2 diabetic as well. So that was the motivation behind it, and then I signed up with Phil, who's a personal fitness guru. And of course his process had about 5 elements to it. So one was, after you've done your there's a detailed questionnaire about what you've done, your lifestyle and things, but his plan had 5 elements to it. So the first bit obviously was cardio, and the second bit was doing some weight training, the third bit was a diet, the fourth bit was some supplements, stuff you can get from Holland and Barrett. And the fifth element, probably the most important, was the mentoring or the accountability part. Now that bit was around measuring what you do, so that's easy, isn't it? How much you weigh, Fitbit, step count, your records of your gym activity, logging your meals on the app, and also every week my wife used to take pictures of me in my underwear, my underpants, front, side and back, and as well as measuring my arms and all that sort of stuff. So I religiously did this, and every week would have a Skype conversation with Phil. And that went okay, but after about 6 or 7 weeks, he sends me a before and after picture, and I'd never bothered looking back at the old ones. And when I looked at it, it was astounding, the difference.
I bet you didn't notice it day by day either, did you?
No, in fact, I hadn't really, although I knew I was getting thinner because I had to replace my belt, I remember, and new trousers and stuff. There's another story about that too. I hadn't. When you see it juxtaposed like that, it's dramatic.
Yeah. And
so I now use that photograph as one of those anchor, I suppose you'd call it, or hook type parts of the conversation with people. When I'm at breakfast, I get my phone out and I show them those pictures, and it's particularly if the other person's a bit tubby, the jaw drops. They're never ever going to forget that. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of those ways where you can completely differentiate the experience, because there's something there that they're not going to. It's going to make them think, if he can do it, why can't I? That kind of thing. But they're never going to forget that.
Yeah. Also, not many people go around showing photos of themselves.
Well, no, there aren't many 52-year-old guys who would do that. And of course,
not on purpose.
For instance, that's it's gone to a ridiculous length, because Phil has got a private group on Facebook where all of his clients banter away and have videos of themselves straining away in the gym and that kind of stuff. Quite good fun. And I took a picture in the changing room of my local gym. It wasn't the YMCA, which is a private joke, but it wasn't the YMCA, but it was where I live. It was the municipal gym. It was a Saturday morning. I was the only person in there, mind, and I did a sort of a pose after a gym session. I was all pumped up. Took a photograph of me in the mirror.
We'll get this pose and I'll put it on the video.
And this particular, I posted this into the private group, and I just put a caption on it, one for the ladies, because there was banter going on. So I did that, and didn't think much of it, and I went about my business. And I got home. So this is on a Saturday morning. I got home at probably about 9:30 in the morning, just about to take my son to football. And I looked, the phone went ping or something, and one of my wife's friends had liked it. And I was struck, how on earth did she like, she's not in this group. I couldn't work it out. And then I'm with my wife at home, Alison, and the phone goes, and it's her friend who'd liked it. And she said, "What's your husband doing?" He's just posted this picture of himself in his underpants in a gym, saying one for the ladies. And she looked at me. You can imagine the conversation that happened then.
Hi, Alison.
And I said, I must have made a mistake. I must have posted it to my wall, which is what I've done. I haven't posted it in the group. I posted it on my wall. And of course, a bit frosty for a while, but after a while, even Alison could see the funny side of it. Of course, this thing got liked and the rest of it. So that's where the one for the ladies things came from. So that explains that joke.
Tip top Tim, one for the ladies.
That's right, one for the ladies.
Cool. And your transformation's been amazing.
But thanks for that. I mean, it has been amazing, and it's this is more of this is useful for anyone who's been unfit or been overweight. I managed to do it without it seeming to be horrendous effort. I've got to the point now where I actually enjoy the gym. I've made a few changes to the way I commute to work, so that all of the cardio I do is walking.
Yeah.
So I don't do, apart from a bit of warm up, I don't do any cardio work in the gym. I don't go running, but I do on average 15,000 steps a day. and that's basically walking to and from work. I mean, obviously I come on the train, but I walk to the station now, and I get off 2 stops earlier, and do that twice a day, 5 days a week. You soon get your step count right up.
It really is as simple as that.
Yeah, and
really cool.
just a few slight changes to the diet, nothing too heavy.
Yeah, no kale smoothies.
No, nothing like that.
Which is really cool. Cool, we're running out of time. I'm going to have you back on the podcast at some point next year as well, because there's lots of other things to talk about. But in the meantime, where can people see photos of you in your underwear and your breakfasts?
Well, you can find me on Facebook and LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn, we haven't really talked about LinkedIn, but of course that's another way of networking. Maybe that
we'll save that
there, and some of the other anecdotes as well.
Yeah.
But find me on LinkedIn, Tim Fitch on LinkedIn. I won't be wearing this jumper, but you should recognise me. I haven't got my glasses on the picture, but it's definitely me. And yeah, connect with me on there. I'll accept all reasonable connection requests, or find me on Facebook. Yeah. And look forward to the next podcast.
Yeah, we'll talk about LinkedIn in the next one, because Tim does amazing stuff with LinkedIn, and it's really worth knowing. So, on top of the networking tips that you've just given everyone, that's really, really cool.
Well, because I've given you the O-level tips.
Good.
There's some A-levels as well, which perhaps we'll come to next time.
Yeah, definitely. Well, LinkedIn's kind of on networking, it's just online, so.
It is, but there's some more advanced stuff, which we'll have to say for another time.
Yeah, next time. Next time in spring we'll come back and we'll see the transformation and the incredible pod. Maybe we'll do a tour of the pod.
The tour of the pod, yeah.
Yeah, we'll do a tour of the pod. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Tim. That's been really cool.
You're welcome.
And Joe and I will be back same time next week. Don't know whether it'll be Christmassy or not, because I'm frankly at this point have no idea what date it is. So yeah, check Tim out. Invennt with 2 N's. Find him on LinkedIn. Find him on Facebook. There will probably not be too many pants pictures. And if you want to know more about me, you can go to vickyfraser.com /podcast. Share it. Share us on iTunes. Review us on iTunes. We love that. And yeah, have I missed anything out, Joe? Say hi to the listeners.
Hello, listeners.
Thanks very much, Tim. And we'll see you soon.
Like what you've just heard? Tell your colleagues, tell your friends, send them to www.businessforsuperheroes.com/podcast.